Mercedes conducted a complete internal repackaging to get the aerodynamic shape it wanted for its 2022 Formula One car, according to its technology director Mike Elliott. Continues the trend of tightly packaging areas of the car, including side pods and engine cover. And in today's video, we are going to talk about why Mercedes needed a huge internal redesign for its 2022 F1 car. Without further ado, let's begin. Elliott said, achieving progress in this area was not just a case of a shrink-wrapping exercise, but the work of a huge amount of redesign and simulation. We have talked a lot about the aerodynamic changes because these are more visible, and these regulations aim to improve overtaking, Elliott added. In fact, most of the car has had to change, which has been a huge challenge for the whole team. Getting to the desired aero shapes has meant a complete internal repackaging, right down to the electrical layout and where we fit things like the ECU. The suspension has been redesigned to account for the loss of hydraulics and remote springs, now banned in the new regulations. Hopefully, you will see that we have taken another step with how tightly packaged the side pods and engine cover are. F1's 2022 aerodynamic rules overhaul is the biggest in the generation and has influenced the way in which Mercedes and its rivals can place certain parts. Elliott said the steering wheel had been carried over, but that the parts were otherwise all new, and that's primarily a consequence of these new aerodynamic rules. The way the aerodynamic surfaces are defined in the regulations is also completely different. This year you are given a CAD surface and a tolerance to it, he said. That means these designers must think differently, and the process of making sure the geometry is legal is much harder. In the past, we've had lots of little details in the car that added up to quite a big chunk of aerodynamic performance, but now, the component detail isn't anywhere near as complex. So, the gains you are making are in fundamental shape changes and bigger components than before. Renders that were released on Friday morning had visible differences from the car shown during Mercedes' launch, which has been confirmed as the version of the car that will be tested. But Elliott said the car will still undergo a large amount of evolution during testing, and that means Mercedes cannot be certain of how it compares to its rivals until the opening round of the season in Bahrain next month. It's always a special moment when you see the car run for the first time, said Elliott. It sounds like a cliché, but people have sweated blood and tears in Brackley and Brixworth through the years, but particularly over the build period and winter, to deliver the car and be able to run it. Now, we enter the learning phase. Because the car will evolve so much over the test, we won't know where we are until we get the first race, but we've got that mixture of trepidation, excitement of developing the car and seeing what we've created, and pride about what we have achieved together. For 2 years running, the Mercedes Formula One team and its start driver Lewis Hamilton have reigned supreme over the hyper-competitive sport. Tight new regulations on car technology and engines were supposed to make Formula One a more egalitarian competition, but Mercedes has defined those expectations and delivered 2 seasons of outright dominance. The only real threat to Hamilton's hegemony in this time has been his own teammate, Nico Rosberg, which is testament to the substantial technical lead that both drivers have enjoyed. This month, Mercedes opened the doors to its Brixworth facility in rural England to tell the story of how its world-beating Formula One hybrid power unit is designed and built, and I was there for a first-hand look. It's called a power unit now because the engine is just one component of it. There's a fantastic amount of extra work and technology that goes into Mercedes cars' electric power subsystems. Taken as a whole, this is the most advanced and, on the evidence of F1 results, best high-performance locomotion system that's yet been devised. And it's all achieved by prioritizing the same thing as road-going car engineers do: efficiency. The British countryside seems like an unusual setting for cutting-edge German engineering, and indeed, most of the work and development at Brixworth is done by British engineers. Before it became known as Mercedes-AMG high-performance powertrains, the company operating in this Northamptonshire location was called Ilmor Engineering. Founded by Mario Ilian and Paul Morgan in the early 80s, it began to develop Indy car engines and later partnered with Mercedes-Benz on Formula One engines, which eventually led to the takeover of its UK operations by the German carmaker. This is why Mercedes' most advanced development is happening outside of Germany, and also how an F1 team with a short history of operating under its own name is able to outpace the established titans of the sport. Some of the people working in Brixworth have been there for 25 years or more. Andy Colwell, one of the Mercedes-Ilmor veterans, is the new company managing director, having previously served as a leading engineer at Cosworth Racing and BMW Motorsport. He gave us a tour of Mercedes Hybrid PU and the surrounding manufacturing plant. Formula One and road car design missions are aligning around efficiency and engine downsizing, says Colwell. To illustrate the point, he notes the original 2012 design, from which the championship-winning 2014 and 2015 PUs sprouted, weighing a hefty 262 kilograms, too much to even fit in an F1 car. Mercedes' first kinetic engine recovery system, KERS, which puts motors at the wheels that generate energy when the car decelerates, also weighed 107 kilograms at its onset in 2007. Since then, the KERS efficiency has gone from 39% to 95%, and its weight has been reduced to less than 20 kilograms. The whole power unit has gotten smaller, hitting the mandatory minimum of 145 kilograms, and significantly more efficient. 2015's GE model was the most powerful in Mercedes-Benz history, in spite of having to adhere to new FIA regulations that stated it can't be fed fuel at a rate of more than 100 kilograms per hour. Thermal efficiency is the paramount concern at Mercedes. That's the measurement of how much the heat produced by the engine is converted into meaningful power for the car, and the company says its latest PU surpasses 45%. Having been at 29% in 2013, Mercedes has made a bigger advancement in the past few years than in the previous century and change, following the first internal combustion engines, which had a 17% thermal efficiency in the 1870s. In practical use, Mercedes can notch the efficiency up by 50% with the help of regenerative braking via KERS and energy harvesting from the exhaust using a special turbine. Exhaust heat hits the turbine at 1000 degrees Celsius before exiting at 600 degrees. The collected energy is sent into a densely packed, liquid-cooled lithium-ion battery, which is used to add a supplemental 161 horsepower to the rear wheels and power the car's electric turbo. In order to make its efficiency advancements, Mercedes constantly iterates on its design through a mix of simulation and experimentation. Many of the finer details can be computed into sophisticated software, such as moving mesh computational fluid dynamic, which allows the company to precisely model charge and combustion processes inside the engine, allowing it to assess the effects of varying fuel characteristics, such as evaporation or combustion rates. But the simulation only goes so far, and many of the company's theories are proven out by real-world testing. Yes, you need to have good ideas, but you need to go round that loop many times, says Colwell. Subscribe, like, and let me know your thoughts and comments.